A story for Pesach. One day, the Noda Yehuda was walking down the street in Prague, and he sees a little kid, a shaigatz, a little Gentile kid, standing there crying with a basket. So he said to him, he went over to me, he said, "Little child, what's wrong?" He says, "My father's a baker. They send me every day out to sell rolls. And I sold all my rolls, but someone took all, I dropped my money, I lost my money. If I go home, my father will punish me." "How much did you lose?" He gave him the amount of money. And the Noda Yehuda gave him the money and saved his skin. Fast forward many years later, in this time of the year, in Erev Pesach, in Nisan, maybe it was another. By the way, while we're talking, don't forget Birchas Ilanos. So therefore, during this time, they were preparing for Pesach. There was a knock at the door late one night at the Noda Yehuda's house, many years later, maybe 20 years later, let's say. And his wife answers the door, and she sees this young man, obviously not Jewish. She says, "I have to speak to the rabbi." She was a little bit afraid, but she thought it over, and she let him in to see the rabbi. She told the rabbi, "I'm concerned about this young man, but he has to see you." So he let him come in and speak to him. He said, "Do you remember me?" And the Yehuda looks at him and says, "No, I don't remember you." He says, "I was a little boy that you gave the money and saved me that day. I came to warn you, to inform you that my father, who's not a good person, is involved with a group of people and the local authorities, the priest, and they want to poison all of the bread which they sell right after Pesach, because they know that you're going to be coming to them for the bread. I wanted to let you know that you should take care and protect yourselves." And then he left. Now the Noda Yehuda was faced with a gigantic problem. He can't go out and accuse them. It has not been done yet. He can't scare everybody. He can't let them know that he knows. What does he do? What does he do? So he calls and makes out an announcement, sends out a proclamation. Everybody has to come to shul. This is in Pesach. Everybody has to come to shul for a special drasha, has to make a special announcement. This was in the middle of Pesach. It's actually towards the end of Pesach. He made the announcement. And he said, "I have to inform you, we have made a terrible mistake in the Luach. This year, we miscalculated the Luach, and Pesach is not when we said it is, but it's one extra day. It's one day longer. So you have to please keep Pesach for an additional day on my Psak, and that is what has to get done." His authority was so great, it was not questioned. Nobody looked or asked the question. If the Noda Yehuda said so, that was the halacha. And so they kept an extra Pesach. All the bakers were waiting for the Jews to come for the bread, and nobody's coming for bread. They came to accuse the Jews. They sent the police to the Jews. And they said, the rabbi said, "We made a mistake, and that we cannot eat bread this day." He said, he only did that to rob us, because he's trying to cheat us out of our hard-earned money. We worked very hard to make the bread for you. So he said, "Let's go to court." They went to the court. In those days it was the king or the royal minister of that city. And Noda Yehuda is facing them, and they're accusing him of trying to make them to steal money from them, to make them broke, to take away their business. So he asked for some of the bread. And they said, "Okay, here's the bread." And they said, "Could you please bring an animal in, a dog?" And they said, "Give this to the dog." They got scared. They gave it to the dog, and the dog dropped dead on the spot. So they saw that what the Noda Yehuda had done was to save the community, and it was L'Shem Seferis. And that's the famous story, the year that Pesach was 9 days long. And he saved them through his chachma and through his seichel. Yontif.